A South Sydney mother and her daughter are still processing the loss of 19 of their family members killed in an Israeli airstrike earlier this month. The tobacco farmers, originally from the southern Lebanese border village of Aitaroun, had been displaced for nearly a year after moving away from the fighting. The mother said they thought their family was finally safe in the northern Christian majority village of Aitu, some 200 kilometres from the fighting, when an airstrike on October the 14th flattened their home. Among the victims was the daughter's 95-year-old great-grandmother and 2 infants. Nabil Al-Nashar has the details.
On October 14th this year, an Israeli airstrike hit the residential building where the Hijazi family were taking refuge in Aitu. And as you mentioned, this is a northern Christian-majority Lebanese village that is some 200 kilometers away from all the fighting in Aitaroun, where they're originally from. Now, Aitaroun is a Shia-majority village, and it sits right on the Lebanese-Israeli border. After the fighting started in October last year, the family had tried to move away. They were in Srifa for a few months, better part of the year. And then just after the Israeli invasion earlier this month, the ground invasion, they moved up to Aitu, where they were taking refuge. Now, in total, 19 relatives were lost. The family's matriarch, great-grandmother, Haje Nahed Hijazi, she was 95 years old. Her 2 sisters-in-law, Maryam and Layla, they were 70 and 80 years old. Her daughter Amal, her daughter-in-law Sekne, her son Hussein and his wife Sana. Also killed in that attack were 7 of her grandchildren, 2 great-grandchildren, including 11 months old baby Ruqayya and 4 months old baby Aileen, who died with both of her parents, Ali and Jenna. Haje Nahed, who I spoke to, told me that they had tried to conceive her for 3 years with IVF.
All the young, we call them akmar, which is like the moons of the family. It's nothing you'd expect to happen. So when it does happen, it's not something you plan to deal with.
I don't think I'm in the stage of anger yet. I think I'm still in the stage of grief and sadness.
That was Zainab, the 22-year-old daughter there. And as you can imagine, they're still processing the loss, with so many of the same family members killed, including elderly women and children.
And what's the Israeli government said about the attack?
Well, the IDF had put out a statement right the next day saying that it had struck a Hezbollah target, but indeed did not go into detail about the nature of said target, whether it was a person, multiple people, or even a structure. This is something the family does not accept.
I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know how they get this. They use it as an excuse for every time they hit something. Every time they hit a target, they use it as an excuse. I've just described my family, and I'm telling you, they're farmers, and that's what they did.
They'll start off with, oh, the target was unknown, and then they'll go to, oh, it was a Hezbollah commander, not naming who the Hezbollah commander is, not giving us any information on that, and that's it. That's the end of the story. No one else is going to go into that in more depth to see, is that actually true? It's just very frustrating. It's very, very frustrating to see them use that excuse, and it makes us feel like we're not going to get any justice for our family.
Now, Roz, it's worth noting that Jeremy Lawrence, the spokesperson for the Office of the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, said that their organization had real concerns with respect to international humanitarian law about this specific airstrike on Aitu, and it called for a thorough investigation. Part of that IDF statement also showed that the IDF said it's launched a review into that airstrike.
And you said the family had already been displaced for a year. What happens to the survivors now?
Well, there's around 4 or 5 survivors left, including baby Ruqayya's mother, the 11-month-old baby, who Haje Nahed says is putting on a brave face after losing her only child, both parents, and 5 siblings. But Haje Nahed and Zainab would like to bring at least some of the elderly survivors here to Australia, like Uncle Hussein, who had lost 5 of his children and grandchild, baby Aileen, to be with them. But there are no special humanitarian visas issued by the Australian government thus far for Lebanese citizens. To be clear, we're talking about something similar to what the government offered the Ukrainian citizens, for example, after the Russian invasion of Ukraine. The federal government has indicated before that it's focusing all its efforts on getting Australian citizens and permanent residents out of Lebanon at the moment.